Duckling today. We are.
Me.
Oh,
How's it going?
Oh my God, where are you? You look like it's such a nicely designed studio room where are you?
It's the Ritz-Carlton.
It smells like a Ritz-Carlton from where I sit.
Yeah, it really does. It's 37 floors up, which means your soup's cold when it gets here.
Sharon, are you drinking a cocktail at 11 in the morning? Or where are you?
I wish I was. It's yeah. As soon as I'm finished this.
Well, first of all, I would always recommend having a cocktail when talking to me, but I was on a plane yesterday at like 9 a.m. and this guy next to me ordered a bourbon and Coke, and I almost threw up in my mouth. I was like, why does it have to be a bourbon and Coke at 9 o'clock in the morning?
Also, that's not one of the designated breakfast drinks, because
that's exactly right.
Mimosa is a breakfast
acceptable.
Drink. And a Bloody Mary is a breakfast drink. The only time you could drink a bourbon at breakfast is Christmas Day, when all drinks are
legal.
Yeah. Legal.
Sharon, I mean, speaking of early morning drinking, I mean, you are Irish, and isn't that where early morning drinking began in Ireland?
I think so. That's what the scriptures say. The ancient ones. I think it's. I think we are very good at drinking. I quit for nearly 3 years though, so that was a weird sort of landscape to be in. Whenever I go back home, that was an odd one.
Why did you quit for 3 years?
Why? No, there was a good reason. I'll tell you why. It was at the end of COVID, and everyone's drinking had just gotten out of control, I think.
Mm-hmm. I know, but 3 years is a long commitment.
I know. I had, like, in fairness, if someone got married, I'd have a glass of champagne and drink like half of it. I suddenly just became freaked out that I wasn't, like, if I had a drink, then I'd sort of get professional again. And we were just, partying all through COVID. And one night sounds so middle class, I was shucking oysters and I put the shucker through my hand. I still have the scar.
Ouch.
And I was just like, fuck it. And carried on with the night. And then I woke up the next morning and I couldn't move my hand. And there was like blood all over my pillow. And I went to hospital. I thought, I should probably just
chill.
Stop drinking.
Take a break.
Yeah, just chill out for a bit. And then the way, if you're someone who is a bit like, I just got really into it. I got really into sort of not drinking the way people who like to drink get into drinking. So I found that I was really good at it. And then, I guess the novelty wore off a little bit.
Yeah, I think everything's good to experiment with for a few years here and a few years there, sobriety included. I like it sometimes. I mean, sometimes I feel like I'm just, after you go out, like I think everyone had a very similar experience in COVID, unless you were sober and your sobriety was probably challenged or threatened.
Yeah.
But there wasn't much going on. I took lots and lots of drugs, mushrooms, edibles throughout my COVID experience. I went to heights I had never seen before. I just wanted to see at a certain point, like I just started experimenting with my own body. I'm like, what can I handle? Like I felt like a Mack truck. I'm like, can anything take me down? But I want to make sure everyone listening, that's not for everyone. That's just for me. So Sharon, I first caught wind of you in a big way with Catastrophe, which is still to this day, you and Rob Delaney in that show was so fucking funny. Every scene in that show was so ridiculous and so well written. I was like, who is this woman? And I have to do something with you at some point. You have to put me in one of your shows because I just want to hang out and be stupid. Yes, please do. And then she tops that off. So
hang on, didn't we ask you to be Rob's sister? I think we did in Catastrophe.
No, I don't know. Not that I know about.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, next offer you, I just switched agents. That's probably why. Next time you have something for me, go to WME. They'll let me know.
All right.
But after that, I saw the next time. So you left that show. Sorry, how many seasons was Catastrophe?
We did 4, which is a lot for the UK.
Yeah. And it felt like you could have done more, but probably wise to leave before, right?
Yeah, I think like, you know, I think that sort of stage of having kids, we sort of felt like we'd done it. You know, we'd said everything we wanted to say about that particular era of having young children. But like maybe we always sort of talked about down the line if, you know, when they're teenagers or something, we might revisit it. It's different now though. I think we both feel a bit like, oh shit, what do we do? I'd rather write something new with him, you know, because
Yeah, I mean,
we had such a great time
I know, and you could
writing it
tell.
together.
It was
Yeah, it
such an
was
unusual
a
show
blast.
for that time
Hmm.
because it was very unique idea about these two people just hooking up, not knowing each other and getting pregnant, like, and then staying together, which is just so crazy to even think about doing. But your chemistry together, you should definitely be doing more stuff together. It's so fun to
Yeah.
watch as a viewer. And as a comedian, you know, I don't find many things funny because I guess I don't know why that is. Like,
I get it. I mean, we were obsessive about the amount of jokes that had to be in it. We were quite, um, we had really strong opinions about how many jokes there had to be in per page. And I think like my sitcom background was, you know, funny, really funny sitcom. And Rob's background was stand up. And, you know, he's just a naturally one of the funniest people you could ever meet. So we would sort of read it out all the time. And if it didn't feel like there was a high level of jokes throughout, we would get, panicky. And it was kind of one of the first things we thought about. I mean, character, obviously, but then it was just jokes.
I
And
feel like, yeah, I feel like true comedians just care more about the comedy and then the character comes after. And if there's enough, like, I know that's the opposite way of professionally, like, as any writer would look at anything, they're always like, no, this character wouldn't do. I'm like, but it's not funny. Let's make it fucking funny. That's what the relief is for viewers to really be laughing at something,
it is.
at
It
the
is.
absurdity. So you left that show. You guys were done with that. Bad Sisters is out season 2, but please watch season 1 first because this show, talk about original concepts and talk about great characters. I mean, I'm from a big family. I know, Sharon, you're from a big family as well. I love nothing more than sisters. I have 2 sisters. Whenever we have sisters call into the show with problems, I am so sister positive. And this show is so fucking funny because there are 5 sisters, 5 or 4? 4. 5.
5 altogether, yeah.
5 sisters
Yeah.
altogether. Okay. 5 sisters who are all very different, and they have one sister who has a total douchebag for a husband. And this guy plays this role to a T. I mean, he is repugnant. He, like, your vagina closes when you watch him
It's
talk.
amazing, isn't it? It's amazing because he's a handsome man. Like he's a tall, dark, handsome man, but he absolutely does close your vagina up like as soon as he opens his mouth. It's
Totally. And so
extraordinary.
the sisters are all plotting together to figure out a way to get their sister away from this man. And then it becomes kind of, it's also set in Ireland. So it's so beautiful to see and so refreshing to see another, like a backdrop like that, all of like, just even the architecture and your houses and the design of being in a different country. It's just so refreshing from American television, and and American La La Land, our new fad, which I'm sure you're very well aware of, is everything needs this gorgeous backdrop. It's like got to be like a White Lotus or Perfect Couple, like everything's in Nantucket, and it's like I don't like that. That's not relatable at all.
Yeah.
It's very real and gritty, is what I'm saying.
It is real. And I guess there's an aspirational element to it in that people want to be part of a big family, and there's sort of a wish fulfillment that comes with deciding that you'll kill someone that awful, and sort of like there's plenty to sort of look at and enjoy, but we always thought it has to look real. Like the women have to look real in it, because if it's not real and if people don't believe this setup and these women and their connection, they're not going to get behind them in the same way. You kind of really had to get behind them every episode. They tried to kill them, So in order to sort of make that conceit work and to really, to feel like you were behind killing a man, I think it had to be truthful, as
Which
much
is
as
something
possible.
I've always dreamt of doing with my own family group, picking one of
Yeah.
our, like my sibling spouses and just getting rid of them forever.
Yeah.
Like that sounds like it's such a, how did you come up with that concept?
Oh, well, I can't take credit for that. So it's based on a Belgian series called Clan, and which was marvelous. Same conceit. I mean, it was completely different execution. It was way crazier. Like there was a lot more murders and a lot less, collateral damage. Whereas I was kind of really interested in the emotional side of it, and the impact that being in that kind of abusive relationship would have on Grace and on the sisters. And they hired hitmen, and dead bodies ended up in dog food sort of factories, and it was kind of OTT. But the central conceit of these five sisters and their bond, and one of them being married to a prick, and just like, we got to save her before we lose her entirely. That already existed. So I was really lucky to get that. For the second season, I had to think it up myself.
Yeah, exactly. So how did you tackle that?
I suppose I was really interested in what would happen next. Like the end of the first season, I loved, and great, he's dead, and they're back together, and they saved her, and she jumps into the water, into the 40-foot with her sisters, and it was lovely, but it was also kind of a fairy tale, I guess, a fairy tale ending for her. And I think the idea of what would really happen, and how someone as good as Grace would be able to just get on with their life after that, like how the guilt would eat her up. And also, someone like that who would have isolated herself for all those years, and sort of would try and hide the kind of relationship she was in and how abusive it was, wouldn't be very good at like going to her sisters then and opening up if something else terrible happened. So yeah, I actually felt it was closer to the kind of things I used to write. Like I loved writing the first season and the thriller and the caper and all that, but actually the real true fallout of being in a situation like that, I found kind of easier, naturally kind of easier to dig into.
It's also great that you write all your stuff and then you star in your own stuff. And you're a 54-year-old woman, I would like to say. So I grew up in this industry when I was coming up. I'm going to be 50 next year. When I grew up, not when I grew up, but when I was coming up, and all my actress friends I had one specific actress friend who was like, everyone becomes invisible when they're 40. Like, you are no longer valuable. You will no longer be looked at the same way. And I always thought, no, that can't be true. Like, that depends where your value is coming from.
I had thought exactly the same thing. I remember my agent taking me out for lunch on one of the visits to LA. I used to make lots of pilots, and nothing got picked up. And I started getting more and more like panicky. And I remember taking him out for lunch, and I think I was only like early 40s max. And I was like, this is, we've got to sort this out, because very soon no one's going to want to see this. And but I think that must have been what I was seeing around me. There is that huge jump where women just sort of disappeared until they were, Judi Dench or Maggie Smith, or, it kind of felt like you could be up to a certain age where you were acceptable, and then you kind of had to just fuck off for a bit, and then you could come back when you were a crone. And so I guess that's why I was so nervous about it. But I mean, that's not entirely changed, but it is.
I think it's changed a lot. And I think
it's changed a lot.
I think especially when we consider like where we are politically right now, the reason why men are so scared of female empowerment and female success is because that's threatening to them, right? Because we wouldn't be at this moment if they didn't really see women succeeding in ways that we hadn't been before. We obviously have way more work to do, but it is a threat to this male white supremacy idea that so many females are in charge of their own lives, that are single, that are business women, that are creatives, and in all sorts of areas of business, not just Hollywood. So
exactly. I mean, when it comes down to commerce all the time, doesn't it? And there was definitely there came a point where you just couldn't deny the fact that female content, whether it was, created by or written or starring, was getting watched by not just a specific demographic of women of a certain age, had this wide audience. And so when once it comes down to that, I think they have to sort of, believe it.
Yeah. And there's more women than men, and women spend more money than men.
And we live longer.
Mm-hmm.
So we're spending it for
because
longer.
We're happier once the men are gone. We can live even longer because it's less stressful for anyone who's married. You're not married though, right? You're divorced?
I got my
congratulations.
I got my I forget what it's called. Decree absolute yesterday. I mean,
wow.
Thank you.
You
so
deserve
much.
a party.
I know. I am going to party tonight. I have got a boyfriend though, and that's lovely. But it was it took so long. I mean, COVID came in the middle of it all, and all sorts of shit. But it just came through yesterday. I was sitting in a cab, and it came through, and it was just, it was such a Nicole Kidman moment.
Yeah,
that's wonderful.
Totally. How long were you married for? How many years?
I can't remember. No, I think 15 or something. 15. It was a good while.
And you have 2 children.
Yes. Yeah, I have 2 amazing girls. I've got a 21-year-old daughter and a 16-year-old.
Oh, nice. Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it's handy now.
Yeah.
They can look after each other. Yeah, it's great.
I would suppose it's meaningful for you to be able to go and shoot in Ireland, right?
It's huge. I mean, it's kind of, it's something I was looking to do for years. I left Ireland when I was really young, but like 20, and it took so long for me to get my career off the ground. But when I did start filming, when I did start writing my own stuff, it's just something I was kind of slightly obsessed with doing, like getting back there and filming something at some point. But it took a long time. Like it took until I was 50 to find the thing, that would be. But Bad Sisters happened to be the perfect thing, because it suited Ireland, because we all have big families. No one used any precautions. Everything kind of made sense in terms of setting it there. But yeah, I was thrilled.
And so let's go back to, I think this will be very important for our listeners since they're all women, about your success. You were talking to, when you were talking to your agent in your 40s, like, okay, time is ticking, let's go. When did you first experience your big first success?
My big first break, I think, was when I got my first sitcom made. I mean, before that, I was doing, I was writing for a bit for radio and doing like some sketch comedy and that kind of thing. But I think I was 38.
I love that. I love that. I didn't get successful until I was 32-ish, where people started to know who I was. But many years led up to that. But people call into this show all the time thinking, and these are 20-year-old girls worried about when they're going to realize what their passion is. It's like, oh my God.
Listen, it frustrates me so much, but it's the same even with my own daughter, just seeing her, my eldest girl, like stressing out about not knowing what she wants. And I was like, Jesus, I was working as a chambermaid, a barmaid, a waitress, working in a job center, selling bongs, selling power showers, like I did all of that right the way through my 20s into my early 30s before I figured out, that if I really try, then I can probably do this thing that might make me happy. But yeah, I remember someone saying to me when I was in my late 20s, saying, like, very, very straight and truthfully, going, if you haven't made it by the time you're 26, you're going to make it. And I was terrified at hearing this piece of wisdom, because I was like, well, I'm screwed then. But there's a part of me that kind of thinks I wish I'd pushed myself a little harder. I wish I'd sort of had the confidence to step out and and try and make it happen sooner. But at the same time, I'm really grateful for everything now. Like everything is a bonus, and also I had so much more to write about. There was
Of course.
so much, like living in low level accommodation, not having a pot to piss in, all those terrible jobs. Like otherwise, I don't know. I just feel like I feel like it sort of rooted me and gave me something real to write about and to draw on. So I should be kind of
Yeah. And I think
grateful for that.
I think there's so much more of a groundedness that comes with success later in life, not prematurely. I mean, we see what happens when people become successful prematurely. That's not a recipe for anything positive. I mean,
they're ruined, aren't they? They can't, I mean, I know there's exceptions, but for the most part,
yeah,
they're weirdos.
Yeah. They are. And I mean, I always look back at my 20s and I like when anyone calls in from their 20s, I was like, I drank, slept with my whole 20s was just craziness and crazy behavior. And thank goodness, like I had all those experiences, the same thing. That's where I got all my stories from. That's how I started writing books and started doing stand up and started learning about storytelling and what makes a good story, and all of those things are invaluable. So it's like, I know we're always eager to get to the success part of our lives, but part of the road, the road getting there, and this always sounds annoying coming from an older person or at this point, but it is the ride. It's the ride to get where you're going that gives you all of the juice so that when you get where you're going, you have tons of fucking material.
Exactly. That's it. Exactly. I mean, my 20s were gross. They smelt. They actually smelt.
On that note, we're going to take a break and we'll be right back with Sharon Horgan. And we're back with Sharon Horgan. Okay, Sharon, we're taking some questions from callers, okay?
Yes.
Are you ready for this?
Yeah, I am. Wow.
Okay.
Yes.
We have a very sister-centric, almost exclusively
Perfect.
sister-centric episode today.
And in real life, Sharon, I need to know, how many sisters do you have?
I've got 2 sisters, 2 brothers. My sister's one younger, one older.
And what number are you out of the 5?
I'm the second eldest.
Okay.
All right. Well, before we go into questions, there was something that we wanted to get. What's the craziest thing you've ever done for your sisters, a time you covered for a sister, or the most outrageous thing you did to protect a sister?
I asked my sisters that this morning. I just flew in from Raleigh, North Carolina, where I saw Pink last night.
Oh, fun.
And I knew we were going to talk to Sharon about, and so I texted my sisters and they reminded me. My sister was getting a divorce. I'm the youngest of 6 kids. My sister was getting divorced and I was going on safari and there were 5 of us, I think, and we had like room for one more. And I was like, oh, Simone, you should come with us on safari. She's like, Africa, it's 2 weeks. She was moving into her new house. She got a divorce, so I bought her a house. I want to just throw that out there. Which I would do again in a heartbeat. And which I also ended up biting her in the ass because she's like, I don't need a house like this. This is too stupid and too big. And she's like, and now I have to live in some house you designated for me. So yeah, think twice when you're buying homes for people. But anyway, I said, come to Africa. And she's like, okay, Chelsea, but I have to be home by August 15th because we're moving into the new house. And I was like, no problem. The trip was going to go to August 20th, but I just was like, whatever. I'll just get her movers. She doesn't know she doesn't have to go back for the move. But when she got there, she assumed that I had gotten her ticket to come home on August 15th. And I was like, I just went along with it until it was like August 14th. And I was like, by the way, you're actually not going home tomorrow. You're going home on the 20th. And she's like, Chelsea, this is exactly why I don't trust you. Like, you can't this is not based on your desires to be around me. I have a responsibility. I have to move my 3 children into a new fucking house. I'm like, please, we'll hire movers for you. We'll make your ex do it. That's the least he could do. He's the reason for this divorce. And so she didn't want to stay. She wanted to be responsible. She had her 3 children. I convinced her. I was like, it won't be the same if you leave. Like, we're in Botswana. Like, when are we going to come back here? This is the trip of a lifetime. And I called my brother-in-law, my ex-brother-in-law, and I was like, you have to step up. You're going to have to move them into the house that they're moving to get away from you. I was like, that's your responsibility. But she never forgave me, and she doesn't trust me now on making any travel plans because she thinks I'm only out for myself and that I can't be trusted. And she's not wrong. I'm totally out for myself.
But what was the rest of the holiday good? Was it worth the
Oh, yeah, she
deception?
had
she had a great time.
We had a blast. I mean, she had the time of her life. And I'm like, you can't come to Africa for 8 days when you could stay for 14 days.
course.
You know what I mean? We're in Africa. When are we coming back to Africa? Turns out we went back like 2 years later. But who knew then what was going to happen? So, yeah. So that was an extra outrageous thing that I've done for my sisters. What's the most outrageous thing you've done for your sister?
Like nothing. Nothing. I was thinking, like, I'm pretty sure I held her hair out of the way when they vomited, but like, so, you know, I mean, nothing. I've got no big story like that. That's extraordinary.
Thank you.
Thank you. I don't even know what to say to that. I mean, it doesn't sound like you were doing it for her.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. I always think I'm going in for these things in an altruistic way, and it turns out I'm only trying to I'm trying to service myself.
So Allison says, Dear Chelsea, I've had a complicated relationship with my sister all my life. She's 2.5 years older than me, and for the most part, we didn't see eye to eye until about 14 years ago when her life fell apart and she moved to the city where I live to start over. It was then that she seemed to make family a priority and get into a better place in her own life. She met someone and ended up getting married. She and her wife relocated to another state and began fostering children. Over the last few years, they adopted 4 children who are now all under the age of 5. Over the years, she continued to take on more and more with her wife's family, her job, each adopted kid, and even additional foster care. Our family kept warning her that she was doing too much, and then a couple of months ago, she called to tell me her marriage was over. She had not been happy for the last couple of years, and she rekindled a romance with an ex who cheated on her. She is now trying to expedite a divorce and move in with her ex. She plans to move straight into her house. I'm so disappointed on so many levels with her. She worked so hard to build this family, and now she's just throwing it all away. She's digging in her heels, which is probably why we didn't get along for many years, and treating her wife, my sister-in-law, like trash. To make matters worse, she has a drinking problem and has even begun taking amphetamines lately to lose weight. I'm at a total loss. Should I just let her destroy herself and her life, or try an intervention? I'm grateful to be communicating with my soon-to-be ex-sister-in-law so I can maintain a relationship with the kids. Should I just leave it at that? Allison.
Oh my God.
Jesus,
Allison.
what a hot mess. Hi, Allison.
Hi.
Hi, this is our special guest, Sharon Horgan.
Hi, Sharon.
Hi. Nice to meet you.
Yikes.
Wow. That's a lot.
It is. Feels pretty reckless.
Where are all the kids? They're with her ex.
Yes, they're all, believe it or not, still under one roof for the most part. They haven't legally separated, but right now my sister spends a lot of time with her new girlfriend. So.
And do you and your sister talk a lot? Anyway, no, not for how long?
Well, we were up until this happened. And then once I found out like how quickly she was moving, how fast she wanted to go straight into this new relationship, you know, how she wanted to force my sister-in-law to move to Texas because that's where her girlfriend is.
Well, good luck with that, by the way. Good luck with having your girlfriend in Texas. So
exactly.
She sounds pretty unstable in this moment.
That's very accurate.
And I think when people are in a maelstrom of emotion like this and they're using drugs and they're trying to lose weight and they're newly in love and she just kind of ditched her family, is she spending time with her children at all?
She is. I mean, when she's there, but now she's spending extended periods of time away. So she'll go for 8 and 12 days to go stay with her girlfriend.
Feels like to me your relationship with her ex and maintaining a relationship with all of her children is more of a priority than doing an intervention, because I feel like an intervention needs to happen at the like it's not going to be well received in this. Yeah, she's not going to listen to you in this moment. She's in love. She's all over the map, and she's using methamphetamines. Like there's not a lot for you to grab on there right now. And I think it is paramount, right? Do you want to maintain a relationship with her children? And her ex probably could help with the support emotionally. And I would think your time would be better served focusing on them.
Absolutely. No, my sister-in-law has been very open. She understands that I've been, critical of both of them. I don't think it was all my sister's fault. And I knew that they were both making really bad decisions along the way that led to this. But I just kept pleading with my sister, like, get therapy, do something first. Don't feel like this is the answer that's going to change your life, because we all know that it's not. And
Was she always someone, was your sister always someone who like was very sort of steadfast in the idea of being right? Do you know what I mean? Is she that kind of a
yeah,
person?
I would say
Okay.
because she came out in pretty early in life. She came out in eighth grade, and this was back in the 80s when it was not acceptable. I grew up in a very traditional Catholic family, and so my parents didn't know what to do. And it was almost like even back then, she dug her heels in, became very rebellious. She wasn't going to listen to anyone. And pretty much ever since then, that's been her approach. Like, I'm going to make you accept me type of
Right.
attitude.
Yeah. This is all weirdly familiar to me, not through my sisters,
Okay.
but in terms of someone sort of moving on with something else and that being their absolute focus and
Mhm.
just for deciding to themselves that this is the absolute right thing and this is what I should be doing and not really listening. So when you're kind of dealing with someone like that, it's sort of best to sort of get out of the way a little bit.
And I would just save the intervention for when she's in a different place. You know what I mean? When it like don't blow that right now because she's not gonna hear you right now. So I think you should wait it out, maintain the relationship with the children, try and be there. Are you in close proximity to those children?
No, I'm also in Texas, unfortunately. So,
Well, you
but I
should
am
get out of
planning to
there.
go out
First
and see
things
them.
first, you should get out of Texas
I'm
as quickly as
trying.
I'm headed there this weekend, so it's funny I'm saying that because I'm doing stand up there. I'm doing 3 shows in Texas. So I guess I'll bring my water gun for protection.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would just try and I wouldn't interfere with her life right now. I would focus on the kids and that maintenance and your her ex, and maintaining a relationship with her so that you have access to those children and that they have some stability, even if it's you FaceTiming them or doing family Zooms once a week. Just figure out a way to like extend yourself to them during
Okay.
this time because it's probably really difficult on them too.
Absolutely. And at first, when my sister-in-law and I started talking, my sister became very angry. And of course, she accused me of betraying her and things like that. And I don't know. I mean, she tried to force me not to talk to her. And I just said, look, that's not going to happen. Like,
No, there shouldn't be like boundaries put up. That's not helpful either. To
no,
not
it's
speak to
not.
someone is not helpful.
The
You
whole
know?
picking sides thing is like just a quagmire.
Yeah. Can you spend any time with them? Can you go and spend time with them there?
Yeah, actually, I'm going at Christmas. We just found out her dates when she's going to be gone. And so I'll go while she's not there.
Perfect.
Good.
Okay. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would prioritize that in the meantime.
Okay.
And then wait for an opportunity, wait for a moment of vulnerability or a moment when her life really does get carried away, But with people who are always defensive and want to be right, as long as you're like arguing a point, you're in defense mode because if you're an open person, you can actually hear anything anyone says without being defensive. And so until she gets there, there's really nothing for you to do.
That's
Okay.
really true. That's really true. Wait, hey, what's your sister's new partner like?
I mean, I don't know. I haven't talked to that woman in
Oh, okay.
14, 15 years since she broke up with my sister the first time. And like I said, the only thing I know about how that relationship ended was she cheated on my sister. And so, yeah, I don't know what she's like now or what she's been doing all these years, but I just feel like I know my sister needs therapy. She desperately
Yeah.
needs to figure out what these demons are that have made her so unhappy, even with, all the things that she's accomplished in life. And so running to someone else is not going to to make her suddenly happy or fulfill all her life dreams.
There is like something I'm sniffing out here too with like the willingness to sort of dive into this chaos, the drug use, the alcohol use, that like maybe there is some mental illness, maybe there's some just like emotional dysregulation. And like, I don't know what else you can do about that other than to keep saying like, I love you, let's like try therapy, that sort of thing. Because obviously throwing that at her is not super helpful. But just for you to maybe have kind of in the background of like maybe she's using this to sort of like help regulate some of this emotional chaos that she's feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, just talking to you, obviously you're coming from a place of judgment. You know what I mean? You're disappointed in her choices and blah, blah, blah. And that's never helpful with that personality type. You have to really come from a place of love and support. Like, I know what you can do. I know your potential. I know you're going to do the best you can. It's almost like you're flipping the script to try and make them believe in themselves a little bit more, because people like that, everything you're describing sounds like she is masking a lot of stuff. So as long as you can try and really not pass judgment on her behavior and rather be a support system for her and someone she feels safe coming to, so that you can kind of build that trust back up, and hopefully that can lead to something.
It's obviously hard because
yeah, I know it's your
I
sister.
love my
Believe me, I'm so
sister-in-law,
judgmental,
and,
but
I care about the kids, and I have been divorced before, and I know what that does, and how it tears families apart. So I did try to a little bit come from that angle of like, look, if you don't want to be married anymore, that's one thing, but like figure that out before you just go right into something new.
Absolutely. Well,
Yeah.
keep us posted with whatever progress is made. Okay, let us know.
All right, I will.
Okay.
All right, thanks, Allison.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. I can't believe people are
tough
still
one.
living in Texas. Like, what?
A lot of them.
Sharon, aren't you so happy you're not American?
I really am. It's not great in London at the moment either. I mean, honestly, it's. I mean, all over the world is a bit of a shit show. But Ireland's not bad at the moment.
No, Ireland sounds like a great place to.
Are we moving?
Possibly. I mean, I just want to go to an island where there is not going to be any, no one's cares, some tropical place where we're not going to be involved in any of all of the shit that's happening globally. I want
Yeah.
to just
Maybe we could make one,
or buy one
just buy
together,
one.
like pool our resources.
I've talked to my female friends about this a lot. Like I think the future is some kind of commune of some kind
yes.
for me.
These conversations, I'm having all these conversations with my female friends. I mean, every different group of female friends says the same thing. Like, why don't we all just pool our money together and, buy some property?
Buy an island.
Yeah. Or Ireland. Why not? People
Let's
are
do
happy
it.
there. They're happy. They're drinking and happy. When do you get to experiencing those things together?
Well, our next caller is Taylor. She is 36. Dear Chelsea.
It is Taylor Swift.
It is Taylor
Well,
Swift.
she's 35.
Oh, yeah. Wow. You just got that tucked right away. Dear Chelsea, my sister and I were never close growing up, but became friends as adults. We now have lived in the same city for 10 years, and over those years have felt like good friends. We have sister dates without the husbands, run errands together, and try our best to stay connected. Recently, I've felt a shift in our relationship. I've always been the one to initiate our hangouts. That never bothered me, as being the planner of the family has made me, that's been my self-appointed role. I had a baby this year and have had less motivation and time to arrange hangouts, and now I don't hear from her sometimes for weeks at a time. It's become very apparent to me that I was really the one driving the relationship. I'm afraid to talk to her about this. In the past, I've had to have a hard conversation with her about not wanting to babysit her dog anymore. He marked in the house. That conversation went pretty badly, and she didn't speak to me for a month. I'm really feeling her absence, but I just can't get myself to address it with her. Do I just accept that maybe things have changed and that's okay? Or do I need to get over myself and talk to her no matter what the outcome is? Chelsea, you have sisters. Please help Taylor.
Hi, Taylor.
Hi, Taylor.
Hi, Chelsea.
Hi.
Oh,
This is Sharon Horgan, our special guest today, too.
Oh man,
Hi, how are you?
what an honor.
Have fun. You're
You
cute.
you have to talk to your sister.
Actually, there's been an update, and I
Oh.
apologize. I'm coming from my car. I just left an acupuncture appointment.
That's okay.
So So, yeah, I sent that email a few months ago, and my sister and I have always had a very good, strong, loving relationship. But as sisters go, there's been ups and downs as we've gone through life, or honestly, it's just gotten so much better. I'm going to admit we never chatted about it like directly, but my daughter turned one a month ago, and it's like a few months ago, it's like she started reaching out and we started doing things. And so, yeah, I don't know if it was just like the beginning of baby stuff and we needed some time or what, but there's ebbs and flows to a sibling relationship. It's a lifetime relationship, right? So,
Oh, well, I was just going to say, like, when you have a baby, you're so, exposed and emotional and sensitive. And it's the only time I've ever fallen out with my sister. And
interesting.
yeah, and we had to do, and wasn't a long-term fallout, but it freaked me out because we're so tight. And in fact, like, I always felt like, my female friendships are so important to me, but I would kind of sideline them a little because my siblings were just everything. But I was very shit around about the time she had her second child, her daughter, and I just wasn't around. I don't know what was happening, like, marriage stuff and work stuff, but I was just not very present, and I was just being a bit useless, and she was so hurt by it. She really, really felt it and was having a hard time herself. And it came to a point where like she was like, I don't think I want to be around you at the moment. And I was just like straight on the phone, and we hashed it all out. And it was really tricky, because you kind of have to, swallow a lot of pride and say a lot of sorries and just own up to the fact that you were being a bit rubbish. But I'm so glad I'm so glad we did it. It was scary. It's scary when you think you're going to fall out with your sister.
Yeah. Your sister, I mean, I can't imagine not having a sister. Like she's one of my most important relationships. But yeah, to your point, I think so much changes when you have a baby and there's a lot of raw emotion and, you want this need to be like all the women in my life stay close to me. But at the same time, you are busy and things are kind of falling apart and you're sleep deprived. So it was almost like we just needed a few months to kind of like find a new routine. And I feel like we've really gotten there.
And also, don't forget when you have a baby, how hormonal you are and how sensitive that person is. Like you're overly sensitized to everything, and a small like infraction can feel like a big one. And
Totally.
so you have to like allow yourself that. But like for future, if you guys have any issues, and this is to anyone who's listening, I don't believe there is any ego involved with your sisters. Like, if it's not like a friend where there's some sort of gamesmanship or you don't know where the other person stands. At the end of the day that you love each other and that you have years and years of proof of that. So, like, if you're feeling distant from her, there's nothing wrong with going, I miss you. I need to see you. When am I going to see you? Like, I love you. I miss my sissy. Whatever, however you talk to each other. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm sure that probably would have put a big smile on her face too, like, sometimes you don't realize how much distance. I mean, my sister just crashed my weekend this weekend. And she's like, we haven't spent time together. She's like, you're always with Simone, my other sister. She goes, we haven't spent time together like this in months. You see Simone all the time. And I was like, but she invited herself on the trip. She's like, I'm coming with you from Brooklyn. I was doing shows all weekend. She's like, I'm coming to all shows and I'm sleeping in your hotel room with you.
Great.
And I was like, okay. And we had a great time.
I totally relate to all of that. I remember that feeling of being jealous when one sibling would spend more time with another, like feeling so hurt by it. And it's usually circumstantial or like for geographical reasons or whatever, but it's, there's always like smaller allegiances within a bigger family anyway, like the eldest and the youngest have a special thing, and like my brothers have a special thing, and then us sisters. But God, I remember that terrible feeling of FOMO, feeling like you've been left out of some kind of
because it's
sibling get together.
it's more FOMO than jealousy. Like, you're not really jealous of your siblings spending time together. We're all part of the family. Like, I don't own them and they don't own me. But, my sister invaded my weekend. We had a great time. We slept in bed together. We giggled our asses off. We had our cousin there. And it was totally fun and great. And there's that's how you have to act. If you're feeling a little bit, it's not like it's not like you're in a romantic relationship and it's new and you have to tiptoe around them. Just be upfront and be like, I miss you. I want to see you. I need a bond.
And I think it's also, as the planner, it's also okay to be like, I don't have the brain power to plan something right now, but I want to see you. Can you plan a little outing for us? And just put the onus on her and have it move forward that way.
So Chelsea, you're talking about having a trip with your sister. My sister and I and my daughter, we traveled down to see my grandmother. And my sister and I stayed up one night talking till 1:30 in the morning. And we didn't address I miss you, but it was oh, this is what we needed. Since then, it's been really great.
I'm glad everything's improved, and have fun, and, good times ahead. Good times ahead only.
Yeah, and I told Catherine this, the world is very scary right now. America's very scary right now. So holding your family and your community and your friends so close and really focusing on that kind of positive love that you get is now what I'm focusing on. So no matter what, my sister's wonderful and she's empathetic and caring. And I'm I just have to, we just had to figure out our new relationship with the little baby involved.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is your fault for having a baby in the first place. So take some responsibility.
Why did I do this?
One day you'll find out. But thanks for calling. Thanks for calling. Have a great day.
So nice to meet you. Bye.
Thanks, Taylor. It's so nice when they figure out their own problems.
I know. I love when we have callers that are we were going to call in with this, but we've already figured it out.
That was way easier than the last one. That last one.
Okay, we're going to take a break and we're going to come back and wrap up with Sharon Horgan. And we're back.
We are back. I have one more quickie if we want to.
Sure, let's do a quickie to close it out.
Let me find.
We don't want to cut Sharon short of giving advice 3 times.
Exactly.
We don't want to take that away from you.
How bad is my advice? Is it
No,
it's good.
Okay.
I think the most important advice anyone could give is being a good listener, and you're a good listener. So that's half the battle. You know what I mean? Actually listening to people's problems. It's nice. Yeah. It kind of takes everything away from yourself. So I like this activity.
Yeah. Well, our last question comes from Ariana. Ariana's subject line was, how do I stop stressing that my baby sister is pregnant? Dear Chelsea, I'm a 27-year-old living 600 miles away from home fairly intentionally. I'm the eldest of 3 girls, and I definitely identify with the pros and cons of being the high-achieving, controlling fixer of an oldest sister. My middle sister and I have been slowly growing closer as we've gotten older, which brings me to my current problem. My 23-year-old sister has made a fetus with her 20-year-old boyfriend. They've been together for about a year and are, quote unquote, definitely keeping it. And I'm holding so much stress about this. They've moved in with my parents, and I feel the stress and anxiety that caused me to want to get out of there. I know that so many young moms find their way, and none of this is to say that she can't be a great mom, but I just don't believe 2 kids, basically without jobs, should have a baby. So how do I get over this? Thank you, Ariana.
First of all, this has very little to do with you. So you're a control freak. You're a self-identified control freak. I'm here to confirm that you are. There's nothing you can do. She's pregnant. Is that what she means by fetus? I'm assuming it's not in a freezer.
Oh, it's not on the rocks.
No. It's they made a fetus.
The cat's out of the bag.
Of
So unless you're
the freeway.
Oh, that's done.
She's not going to convince her to get an abortion. You know what I mean? So how do you let it go? You have to actively surrender the idea that this is within your control. It is not within your control. You have no say in this matter. This is not your issue because it affects your family. It will affect you, but you still have no argument. You have no, what's that duck in this race?
Horse in this race.
You have
no duck races.
You have no duck in this race, okay? You can't, there's nothing you can do. So you have to just understand, you have to really understand that you are not in control of everyone's destiny. The only thing you can control is your own behavior and your response to things. And I would work really hard on trying to be supportive rather than being combative about this, because it's already happening. There is nothing you can do. And if you can exercise restraint and the idea of letting go of something that is it's not your thing to control. So I don't know what to tell you, but you have to really understand that and also move forward in life understanding that as well. Like you don't get to be in control of other people's lives.
And Sharon, any thoughts there?
I don't know. It sounds like she's more sort of worrying about her parents having to, get involved in the baby's life and do the looking after. So like, I kind of get that a little bit, like, but yeah, what are you going to do?
But I mean totally. But what's she going to do? The parents already let her move in with her boyfriend or husband. Is it a husband or boyfriend?
A boyfriend.
Boyfriend. Yeah. So they'll have the baby. They'll probably break up in a few years. And then they're going to have to clean up their own mess. And your parents already allowed them to move in. Again, not your decision. Like you're not in charge of everyone in your family. You're not going to force your sister to get an abortion, are you? No. You're not going to force your parents to kick your sister out. No. So I would throw my hands up and look at a different direction to find a situation you can have an impact on.
And I think Ariana's like kind of on the right track of like, she knows it's her own thing to deal with. Yeah, so I would get a therapist so you can gripe about this. Like, no, it's not your problem. It's not your responsibility to help them learn these lessons either. But the other thing too is the boyfriend is probably going to go away at some point, like you said. But when there is this baby and this baby actually does come into your life, you're going to be like, holy shit, I love this little niece or nephew. So there will be like a good outcome of
That's
this.
really hard to understand until they're physically here.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's true. But it did. I was the first person in my family to have a baby, and well, wasn't planned in any way, but I remember bringing her home and my brothers and sisters just like, it's a mental image I have in my head till this day, like all of them just crowded around this tiny little thing just in the middle of my parents' bed. And they immediately like fell in love and have been obsessed with her ever
That's pretty
since.
undeniable. Once somebody in your family has, and you obviously care about your family. So I would really start to just focus on the positive impact you can have on them moving forward in the future rather than trying to prevent what's happening from happening.
Also, you live 170 miles away or whatever. So
yeah, 600.
Yeah, find a new family if you want. It's so bad if you can. 600 miles.
600.
Is that possible? What did you say? 600 miles?
600, yeah.
600 miles?
600.
That's a different country.
It could be. It could be Canada. Who knows?
Well, there's nothing 600. Oh, 600 miles. 6, I was like 6,000. There's nothing in this country that's 6,000 miles away. Okay. I'm a geographical wizard and a mathematician, in case you hadn't noticed, Sharon.
Me too.
Okay. Well, I can't wait to see season 2 of Bad Sisters. Sharon Horgan.
I can't wait for you to see it too. And
I'm so excited.
I love you, and I'm so glad we got to do this.
Me too.
I hope to admire her for years.
Oh, likewise. And I hope to see you in person one day soon so we can have a cocktail together now that you're back on the sauce.
Can we just do that? I would
absolutely.
Maybe even a morning
really
cocktail.
Yeah.
You can have a morning
in the early or morning hours on a flight.
Just drink some bourbon at 9 a.m.
Plain drinking.
Okay. We will, Sharon. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Okay, lovely to meet you. Lovely to see you.
Everyone needs to watch Bad Sisters. And if you haven't watched the first season, watch the first season first and then go to season 2. It's on Apple and it's out now.